let's talk a little bit about how this is an area which I try to talk to my conservative brothers and sisters about when I talk to the populist right, and I explain to them when they are all talking about the border, what's going on at the border. For me, I feel like it's a red herring. We're not talking about the real issue. I love when you had that little interview with Laura Ingraham the other day. You talked about what we do when people come here and how we should treat them with dignity and pride. But
Yes.
what's absent from this argument, this debate, this discussion, especially when it comes to the populace, right? Even when it comes to the leftist liberals and the progressive, is the causality of migration. And this is an area where
Yes.
the first person I ever heard say our foreign policy is connected to our domestic policy is you, Dr. West. How do we get this across? Because every single time I talk to my conservative friends, I'm like, wouldn't you believe that the 82 bases in Latin America, and they're not the Boy Scouts that are staying there.
That's
This
right.
is the actual cause of migration. How do we get this message across that people are coming to our southern border because of our foreign policy?
No, but see, I think you're hitting on something very, very important. And usually when I talk about this growing up in California, and when they zero in on my precious Mexican brothers and sisters, I say, the Mexican War was illegal, immoral, and a phony war. And that's Ulysses S. Grant who said that. He was a lieutenant in the war, graduate of West Point before he was president, before he led the Union Army. So that there's a sense in which the Mexican brothers and sisters are really coming home, because it was half of Mexico that was basically stolen by means of military might. So when you cast a larger backdrop, you recognize that the economies are intertwined, and the ways in which the massive exploitation of our brothers and sisters in Central America by U.S. companies makes it very, very difficult for them to survive. And then with the added challenge now of the gangsterization with the guns and the drugs and so forth, people are fleeing for their lives. So that, again, it's very important to keep in mind, not as the sole or exclusive force, but as a crucial and fundamental force of U.S. policies, politically, overthrow of democratic regimes, economically, thoroughgoing control and domination of the economy, pushing folk for another way. And they're going in a number of different directions, not just the U.S. boundary. Look, they're going in a whole lot of different places. So you have to bring that to the table, bring that kind of truth telling to the table, and then say, how do we treat these brothers and sisters with dignity? And how do you treat them with the sanctity that they have? And then realize what happens on the U.S. side, where you get businesses who are interested in cheap labor to keep the wages down for workers who are already in the country. So it pits workers against each other, because I am for worker solidarity in the face of greedy bosses, in the face of profit maximizing elites that will do almost anything for profit and will turn their backs on satisfying the needs of their workers. And that's going to create a deep tension, because that is going to put economic pressure on workers who are already wrestling with wage stagnation. For almost 45 years, there's been wage stagnation as the profits has been expanding exponentially, and CEO salaries expanding exponentially, and the top of the professional managerial class expanding exponentially, as workers themselves trying to put food on the table, wrestling with food insecurity, wrestling with the inability to gain health care benefits, wrestling with wages that are stagnating, and so on. That larger story needs to be told. Well, I'm probably going on too long, but that's the framework that I bring to this, my brother.